Hello, and welcome back to the Audible Waters podcast. I'm your host, Ralph Jesperson. Over the past month, I have chosen to share old dreams that I started having in 2008 about the trying times coming on the earth. Those times turned out to include the Great Recession, the pandemic, and then the new war that came in Europe when Russia invaded Ukraine. All things I was warned about in advance to a certain extent. But that is not all, as I keep having more dreams and have seen more specifics I hope to share in the future about more problems coming on the world that will ultimately prove to be worse than the three things that have already come and are still here affecting this world. My last two in this series were about tornadoes and flooding, which I saw as symbols of the trying times that have already come, and yet more are still on the way. Today, I continue this series with a dream I had a long time ago on July 23rd, 2008, that involved bloodshed and fire. I did not have any other dreams about fires for a long time until just this year, which might indicate that the events coming that were pointed to then may be upon us very soon. So here it is, just as I wrote it out long ago, for you to read or listen to and consider what it might mean, as all possible prophecy must be, according to our scriptures, judged and not either automatically accepted or automatically dismissed.
I dreamed that I was traveling along a rural road that was crowded with many vehicles. It was bumper to bumper traffic. There was fear in the air, and I knew these folks were all attempting to flee away from some threat. I thought that the threat might be from terrorists, and people were fleeing away from crowded, dense cities into the relative safety of the open countryside. The terrain was flat, and it was an open grassland. Then I remember coming to a crossroad with a light and being stopped, I think, in the first position at the light. Then I noticed that there were two heavily armed groups also at the intersection, one to my right and one to my left. The group on the left suddenly ambushed the group on the right, leaving no survivors. When the light turned green again, I found myself wondering which group was which. I knew that there are terrorists out there, and that there are also special forces anti-terrorist squads looking to eliminate them before they can kill civilians. Was it the terrorists who were just killed, or was it one of these anti-terrorist squads? I had to know the answer to the question, so I turned and followed the surviving group down to the next traffic light on the road. When they got to the light, they stopped and pulled out of their semi-trailer a long roll of material. When the people in the cars all around on the roads saw this, they all parked their cars where they were and got out of their cars in a great panic-filled frenzy. Then I saw the leader of this group yell in loud voice, "Do not be afraid! Yes, there is a fire coming, but we are prepared for this." I watched the roll of material being rolled out on the grass, and I realized that it was the good guys that I was following. It looked like asbestos, and I had this vision of people being rolled up inside of it to protect them from the coming fire. The man instructed everyone to sit down around the perimeter of this material, as this group of men continued working rolling it out. I saw women and children following the instruction, sitting down on the curb next to the roll of material. Then I woke up and realized that it might have been a large tent that was being unrolled and prepared. At least it looked similar to a tent.
So, in considering how to interpret this, the first thought I had was that a day would be coming where living in a big city might not be such a great thing. This came to pass to a limited degree when the lockdowns came, as transmission of the pandemic virus was arguably quite a bit faster in places like New York City than out in some rural areas. I suspect that there can be other reasons why being in a big city during a time of extreme crisis might not be the best place to live. Big cities are not great places to be during a lot of terrorism or even worse during open war. This points towards future events where the city rural current preferences could be reversed. The next thing I thought about was getting stopped at a crossroad. A crossroad can be a symbol of a time where a person is stopped and tries to make a decision about if they should continue straight ahead on the same path or turn to the right or to the left with some major change that will drastically change where they end up in life. For Christians who did not grow up in church from birth, this certainly happens around the events where they change their minds about Jesus and Christianity. This is the crossroads of change that happens where there is spiritual warfare. Crisis is normally the trigger, and there can be confusion about what is going on that God is doing and what is a very real attack of the enemy trying to stop the conversion process altogether. I have found that there is considerable spiritual warfare that has gone on around me around the times that have proven to be major crossroads in my life. It has only been in hindsight, like in this dream, that I was able to see clearly what happened back there. These crossroad events happen periodically for all who are trying to really follow and know the real Jesus Christ, the one that does not just tell you everything you want to hear. Following him has never been easy, and it is not intended to be so. And the dream ends with a warning that a fire is coming. But someone is prepared for this as they rolled out what appeared to be a fireproof tent. God knows what is coming and has already prepared for it for those who are actively listening to his voice and looking to follow the Spirit and not merely follow what everyone else is doing. You have to know Jesus personally. Just following someone else is no guarantee. What if, as Jesus once said, they, the one you are following, are the blind, leading you as the blind right into a ditch? You have to know his word in its proper context. You have to have a prayer life in place before the most severe of the coming times actually arrive. You can hear the voice of Jesus for yourself, for Jesus said that his sheep know his voice and they will not follow a stranger. That is how you prepare yourself properly for what is coming. Learn how to hear directly for yourself and then follow Jesus wherever he goes. If he tells you to move, then move. If he tells you to change careers, do it and quickly. If he tells you to stay put and trust him in that, do that. This is why I am sharing these dreams in the hopes it spurs someone on to action in the right direction. I plan to get to eventually the dream I had this year, where I saw the fire as it is now already smoldering. It is here, so while I was warned about one coming so long ago, now the time is much shorter to get ready for it. So until next time, God bless you.